This is a demonstration of SRS1 Cubic Spline for Excel software. The software is an add-in for Microsoft Excel that adds cubic spline and linear interpolation functions to Excel. It's totally free and it can be downloaded from www.srs1software.com. It's made by SRS1 Software LLC. So what I'm going to do today is show you first I'm going to take a few seconds and show you what you get when you download the software, and then I'll show you how to use the Cubic Spline software in Excel. And before I get to that, also I'm going to mention, why would you need a Cubic Spline inside Excel? Well, there are a lot of uses for it. For example, if you're doing economic analysis and you're working on some data that's given to you on, in quarterly intervals, and you need monthly values for those, the typical way that you would interpolate monthly values from quarterly values is to use a cubic spline. And if you can do that all within Microsoft Excel, that makes things a whole lot easier. So when you download the software, you get this zip file here, cubicspline.zip. When you extract the zip file, you'll see that it has 3 folders in it. The latest version of the software, the installer for the latest version, which is 2.0, is inside this folder here. Now the latest version requires Excel 2007 or later. If you don't have Excel 2007 or later, if you have Excel 2003 or an earlier version, well, then we also include an earlier version of Cubic Spline, which doesn't have all the capabilities of the later version, but can be used with earlier versions of Excel. And lastly, we include this in the download. This is a 30-day fully functional trial version of another piece of software we make called Data Curve Fit Creator Add-in. What this does is it adds a whole bunch of data analysis and curve fitting functions directly to Excel. It's very useful, and it's here in case you want to try it out. So next, let me go and open up Excel. We've already installed the Cubic Spline software on this system. And the first thing you notice is after you install the software, you'll see a new Spline ribbon tab on the ribbon bar. This has a couple buttons on it. Most of these are just links for help and demos and that sort of thing. But when you see that Spline tab, then you know that the software has successfully installed. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to actually use the Cubic Spline software in Excel. I made this sample workbook that has some data that I'm going to want to do a Cubic Spline interpolation on. So I've got these 4 data points. They're plotted out here. And first thing I'll mention is you notice that the data, when you feed it into our Cubic Spline function, it can be in any order, and it does not have to be on regular intervals. You notice that it goes from 1 to 1.5, then it jumps to 3 and 4, and it's in a jumbled order. That doesn't matter. The software can, the latest version of the software can handle that. So to start using the Cubic Spline function, what I did is I put in a column here a bunch of x values that I'm going to want to calculate the Cubic Spline for. I'm going from the beginning of my data to the end of my data in short intervals so that I can see what the curve looks like, what the smooth curve through the data looks like. And I'll put the cursor in the first cell, say equals, hit the insert function button. And first thing you notice is that after you install the software, there's a new function category added to Excel called SRS1splines.functions. If you select that, then you'll see the cubic spline function and linear interpolation. These are the functions that are added by our software to Excel. I'm going to select the cubic spline function, and the function takes 3 arguments, source data x and y, and then input data. I'm going to go and select the source data x. Then I'm going to hit F4, make that an absolute reference, because we're always going to be we're always going to be dealing with the same source data. So I always want to be referencing that same set of cells for the source data. Now select the y values here. Again, hit F4, and my input point is that first point in my list, and that's it. I've got my value calculated. I'm going to copy this down, and it's going to basically calculate the spline for all these input points using this data source. And I set up the chart so that it would plot that, and you see that it put a nice smooth curve in between the points. It's as simple as that. If I wanted to use the linear interpolation, actually the linear interpolation takes the same function arguments as the cubic spline function, but so I'm just going to change the name of that and say linear interp, copy down, and you'll see that it will be now a linear interpolation between the data points. So we hope you enjoy this software. Thank you very much.